right, it is 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. This is the Finance Committee of the City of Stoughton. I'll call us to order. We have everyone live and in person, so we have a quorum. And I can certify that we are in compliance with open meetings law. Public comment. Any comment from committee members? All right, next is communications and presentations. Nicole Marie?
I was just going to mention we had our ratings call from Moody's for our bond issuance, note issuance that happens tomorrow. The city maintained its AA2 rating, and so that's a good thing. They said with our financial outlook that there wasn't any factors that would put us in a downgrade position unless our debt service ratio went over 2.5, which we're not in jeopardy of doing that, or if our fund balance went below 35%, which we also are not in jeopardy of doing that at this point. Factors that would move us up is if Stoughton became a more major player in the Dane County area, or like if we brought in more industry or had a lot more development in the TIDS. So things to kind of be on the outlook for, but not necessarily things we have a lot of influence over necessarily. So we maintained our rating. I'll put the rating presentation in the next Finance Committee packet since we just got it today.
Any questions on that? Thank you for that update. Next item is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on June 23rd. The minutes are in the packet, and I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve minutes.
We have a motion to approve by Brett.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Brenda. Okay. Any questions, edits, comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And no opposed, so we will approve the minutes. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding lease for electronic billboard with Adams Outdoor Advertising. I see Rick is here. Do you think that we may need to go into closed session for this?
I'll leave that up to all of you. I know, Brett, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about the lease or
yeah, we can
about the proposal. Yeah,
go through it.
sure. Yeah, so we can provide just like a little bit of overview of what Adams is proposing, and believe you all had a copy of the actual lease agreement. The PowerPoint. Okay, I can. Yeah. So how about you get started, Brett?
Yeah, so Tim's bringing up the PowerPoint right now. This has to do with the billboard in front of the Stoughton Opera House, or in front of the fire station. So this billboard has been in place since the previous owner, Mr. Melton, and the city purchased that land to build the fire station, I believe it was in 2005-ish, somewhere in there. So assumed that lease from Mr. Melton, I think, was the assumption. And so in 2015, the city told Adams Signs that this would be the last 10-year term. So in a sense, in 2025, May of 2025, the lease should have ended, and they should have essentially removed their billboard. They basically came back to the city and said that the lease agreement is not between the city and Adams, it's between Adams and Mr. Melton, which we think maybe not legal. I'll let you speak to that. I'm no lawyer. So that's why we sit in this position now, because we can go a couple different ways, and we can certainly just allow them to keep the sign there, and they pay us $2,000 per year, which is ridiculously low. Or we can potentially go to litigation or go to court. I'll let you speak to that. But or they've offered us a new lease agreement or easement agreement to consider. That happens to be quite lucrative. However, it would require us to put a new billboard up in one of our outlots. And just north of Stoughton Lumber, we have a lot that's been identified that could house a billboard of this nature. Of course, it's up to finance and then ultimately council to decide if that's what you'd like to do. If you'd like to have another billboard in a spot like that, that's of course up to you. I know the Plan Commission, they're working on, and Chris and the Plan Commission is working on the updates to the sign ordinance to be compliant. So Rick, I'm not sure where that's at. It's getting close, isn't it?
Yeah, so Plan Commission looked at the new sign ordinance because it had, besides dealing with billboards, there were just a lot of things that needed updating with our sign ordinance. So it's sort of a comprehensive revision to the sign ordinance, but that is now, I believe Plan Commission recommended approval of it last night. So basically, when it comes to billboards, the sign ordinance, if approved by council, would really limit these kind of off-premises advertising signs. So it has to be on an outlot that's at least 5 acres and in a certain zoned area. So there just aren't many places where that's going to apply. There's one we know for sure that we own where it would apply. But basically, the sign ordinance itself is drafted in a manner that's going to be very hard to put up a billboard anywhere in the city. Like an off-premises billboard, I should say. People, or like companies, can sell signs on their property advertising their business. But the sign ordinance is not in front of you tonight, but just context for where this would fit into the billboards as a whole in the city.
Tim, if you go to the next slide. So this basically shows the current billboard. You've all seen it. It's doing its job. It's right in front of your face. Unfortunately, it's in front of a historic building, being the Opera House, then a nice fire station. The next slide, Tim. That just outlines our current lease agreement. Again, it's $2,000 per year, which really is not worth it. In my opinion, that's up to you guys, of course, with no increases in the current agreement. It's a 10-year term that automatically renews, but apparently we don't have the ability to shut it down.
Well, can talk maybe in closed session about the specifics of it, but the lease itself says that only the person that originally executed it can terminate it. So that would be Dave Melton.
In the very fine print. And Brett and I did go down and meet with Mr. Melton. It was quite a while ago now, and he really just didn't show any interest in taking it down, even though we really didn't feel there was an issue.
It seemed he didn't want to get involved, which, it's his prerogative.
Yeah, I mean, it's his choice.
So,
But yeah, we can talk more a little in closed session about the billboard lease itself and my thoughts on it.
the next slide just goes into, there's two different things. There's a lease agreement option and then an easement agreement option. And Rick, we believe that they're two separate
Right.
offers to consider. So the first proposed lease agreement is to basically lease the space from us. And basically that would be $50,000 per year with a 3% increase every 5 years. And that's for 20 years if the billboard is allowed to be installed prior to the end of October. And then $25,000 per year if it's installed afterwards. And again, that's a 20-year lease term. And then it also gives us the ability to put 5 advertisements up per year of our choice. So that is a nice thing to have. And then also, if there is any emergency announcements, like an Amber Alert or public safety communications, let's say we have another type of COVID type of thing come through, we can actually use the digital sign to put out public information. So that's also a nice option.
Yeah, and then another thing that Adams is offering is basically the city the option of is saying if there are any types of advertisements it does not want on the billboard. So I guess some that come to mind would be like tobacco, alcohol, THC, vaping, anything like that. We could put specific parameters in there that they can't advertise those types of
And we
products.
can't do that with the current sign, can we?
There's no limitation. Yeah, there's a vape sign on there right now, I think, yeah.
Then the other option is an easement agreement, and that's for $500,000. Basically, we think that's upfront, correct, Rick? And so basically, that gives them the easement. Sorry, next
Yeah, next
slide.
one.
Yeah, the easement. So they would have an easement to that area, so they have access to the sign. So just be cognizant, that's $500,000 upfront. The lease agreement is $50,000 per year with a 3% escalator every 5 years. So we're talking about over $1 million for that one. So that's potentially more lucrative, but again, it's if you guys wanted to do this, if you want the cash up front, it's $500,000. Over the course of 20 years, it's $1 million plus. Same options with the 5 advertisements, and then the ability to do emergency messaging as well.
Yeah, and I posed a question to Nicole Marie about how it would affect our operations budget.
So the 500,000, if we got that up front, would kind of just be, we could use it to offset capital or something like that. It'd be something for one-time purchases or just put it to fund balance, versus the 50,000 would go to the general revenues and can kind of help bring in that, increase what we're able to increase the budget by each year, because we had that in general revenues as opposed to being restricted to any certain sort of funds. So that's kind of like $50,000 that we have annually to do what the council decides to do with.
Essentially, I think there's also an option to renew the lease after 20 years. I believe that's in there too.
Yeah, so they've sent us a proposed lease that I've taken a look at, and after the 20 years, it would basically renew on a year-to-year basis. So the rent amount would basically, depends on how we revise it, but every 5th year, again, you're getting a 3% increase on the rent amount. So the lease could continue in, for as long as we wanted it to, or as long as both parties wanted it to, but there'd be an easy exit at the end of the term for us. But basically, under either option, we're in it for 20 years unless they default for some reason.
So you're recommending that we go into closed session, because I know we don't have a lot of time.
And we don't necessarily need to make a decision tonight. I think we really
Yeah.
just wanted to get it in front because we had a light agenda tonight and we do at the council as well. So we're not looking for a decision, although they obviously want something by October, but all that's negotiable. And that would be closed
Yeah.
session.
Yeah, I think one thing to ask potentially Adam is what is the lead time if we gave them the green light? How long does it take to order the sign and get it installed?
And what they've said is if we get a lease approved by mid-September, they can hit their deadline of having everything up. So I guess we don't need to get into specifics about the lease tonight, but I guess the more important thing to consider is this something that the finance and the council are interested in pursuing, or is this sort of like a deal breaker, we don't want to pursue it anymore?
Yeah, I think some of the plan commissioners have mixed feelings about signs and whether or not there's, sign pollution, basically. I think one of the points that were made is going forward, we're going to be limited on how many we can do just by the ordinance. So I think that'll help. Now, how does it work on private property?
So the sign ordinance is a zoning ordinance, so as written, it could be a private or public lot, but it has to be an outlot and it has to be zoned planned business. And if that's the case, and it's an outlot that's at least 5 acres, they could put a billboard on it. So it's very specific about when a billboard could be put on there, and there aren't going to be many lots that we don't control that would satisfy that criteria.
And I think that was the biggest concern from the commissioners, is that we didn't get an abundance of signs. This one here would be just relocating the one we have. And I think there was some concern that if we were going to be adding more signs, that might be a little problematic.
Right, but again, just to reiterate Brett's point, sorry, I didn't wait to be called on. So to reiterate Brett's point, like this is a path forward to deal with, remove that billboard in front of the fire station, but also,
Without going to litigation.
yes, and then we get, a $50,000 per year lease payment.
Do you want to finish the slides, and then we can decide if we want to go into
Yeah, I
closed
just want
session?
to make one more point too, and I think at some point it may be nice to bring in the representatives from Adams Signs too, because I do believe it has some sort of a dimming feature, so at nighttime it's not in your face and it doesn't blind drivers. I know we have an apartment complex that's adjacent to it, so I do believe it has some of those features on it as well.
Can I ask a quick question about the location? Because the pictures imply two different spots, and I'm wondering about the implication to the dwelling that is right there.
Yeah, I think we'd have the opportunity to dictate where that goes. I saw the same thing, whether it's tucked up against the building or set to the north of that. I think we'd need to analyze that and really think about where that belongs.
Any other questions on that?
All right. Anything else on the slides?
I think the rest were just photos, kind of what you're talking
Okay.
about. So that's the location there. Yeah, that one's set off, quite a ways away from the building. I think we'd probably want to pull it in just a little bit. Maybe not right up against it, but it seems like it's in sort of no man's land there.
And
Yeah, and I think
Concern.
it's, like the dimensions, was it 24 by 12 feet? So that's the actual sign dimension, and it's like less than 30 feet total off the ground. So that is generally what it would look like. I think they have like more aesthetically pleasing designs.
Yeah, and we could even dictate to them if we wanted some sort of decorative pole on the bottom too. So there's some different options that we could make them do.
And is that image to scale?
I doubt it, to be honest.
I don't think so.
But it actually is similar in size to the one out in front of the fire station. So it's,
The new one would be 12 by 24. The current one is 10 and a half-ish by 22 and 3/4.
Brett?
Do we know if that one is, so it being a digital sign, that's one that's gonna kind of like marquee things through it? Okay.
Yes, yep. So I'm not sure if it's every 3 seconds or 5 seconds. I think they also do not allow like flashing type signs. So they are very cognizant of traffic safety. They did talk about that. I do think it'd be a good idea to have them come and give you a presentation on the sign that's out there. They came to Public Works just maybe a year ago or so. But it was informative, and it seemed like they've been through this before. I think they've got a lot of these questions from a lot of different municipalities about the same questions that we're going to have.
Lisa?
Just a general question. If you're able to find out where a similar sign is, it'd be great if we could just take a drive by it. I'm
Sure.
guessing there's probably one on our way to somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure they're
So-
probably all over the place. But yeah,
It'd be great to see it
we can
in
do that.
person.
Adrian?
I'm curious about the 5 advertising spots. If these are rotating ads, do we know what the duration of one spot is?
Yeah,
Like, would that be
Yeah.
one of 5 spots all year, or?
Yeah, good question.
I'm
How,
just curious.
yeah, if it's, every 5 seconds, but is it for 1 week or 1 day or a month? So good question. I'll find out.
Because I could see that being really valuable.
Now, I'm not sure who dictates who gets the 5. Not it. I'm not doing that. But that is going to be
It'll be
something.
brush pickup, it'll be,
Yeah, I can dictate it, I'm sure. Yeah.
you know how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
Other questions on that? I agree. I think that bringing Adams in would be good. I'd be curious to know, how dim they can make them, especially given the residential that's nearby, large apartment complex. There's more development coming in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, based on where they've implied, it's farther from the apartment complex, but it's right by the ranch house.
Yeah. So
And
I
that's my
think we'd
concern.
want to shore that up with them for the next time.
And basically, our advertising opportunities we would get 5 per year. Each one would run for 21 consecutive days, or up to 21 days.
Perfect.
Any other
So I guess
questions?
the question would be, do you want to go into closed session, or do you want to invite the sign company to come to the next meeting, or do you want to give direction, or what are you thinking?
Let's information gather a little bit more, have them come in.
Yeah.
Have them
I
come
agree.
in?
Yep.
For the August meeting then?
I would think so.
And
Could it be the July 28th?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could ask, sure. I forgot you have another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if we have questions, should we send those to you, Brett?
Sure. Yeah, no problem, yeah. But I
Yeah,
think
I
this is
mean-
gonna be the body, though, that,
Yeah,
does
once
the
we,
preliminary approval, then to council, right?
once we saw the proposal, we switched it from Public Works to Finance because of the dollar amount.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
Seemed
about
appropriate.
the sign questions, that way they're,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't spring it on them at the
Yeah.
last second. And
Yeah,
then
I'll give you the
obviously, if we have
conduit.
finance related about the proposals, we could send that to Nicole Marie, I presume, so, thank you.
Okay. So that concludes the regular business. Our future items are updating the purchasing policy, TID 7 projects, affordable housing fund use options, and as we talked about earlier, we've got CIP coming up next month. What would be the second and third?
It's the 13th, the
Yep.
20th, and the 27th if needed.
Yep. Second, third, and possibly fourth Thursday. Anything anyone feels we need to add for future agenda items? Okay, any motions?
I'd move to adjourn. I'll
Well,
second.
Okay, motion by Ozzy, second by Brenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.